One of the most important systems of the human body is the circulatory system. Basic organ of the circulatory system is the heart. Let's see by looking at a dog's heart. With each beat, the heart is pumping fresh blood to nourish the body. This is a simplified drawing of the heart and important parts of the circulatory system. One of the earliest conceptions of the circulatory system was drawn in the 16th century by a physician named Vesalius. Vesalius was one of the first to actually observe the structure of the human body. Others followed. Men of science, curious about the functions of the body, were eager to learn about the heart and the flow of blood through the body. During the 17th century, an English doctor, William Harvey, discovered and proved that blood was actually circulated in the body. Harvey discovered that blood flows through the body in tubes or vessels. These vessels are called arteries and veins. He also discovered that the heart is the organ that pumps the blood through these vessels. As the blood circulates, it enters the lungs, where oxygen is absorbed, and carbon dioxide, a waste, is removed. The kidneys remove other wastes as the blood circulates through them. Harvey also proved that blood flows in a given pattern. Let's watch this pattern of circulation. The heart pumps blood into the lungs. From the lungs, the blood flows back into the heart. The heart then forces the blood through the blood vessels. The elastic structure of the arteries helps propel the blood to all parts of the body. The blood is then returned to the heart through the veins. Let's stop and recall the pattern. Blood flows from the heart into the lungs, back to the heart, into the body, and then back to the heart. Heart, lungs, heart, body, heart. In this pattern, blood is circulated to bring nutrition to body cells and to carry away cell wastes. Here is a more detailed drawing. Here we're seeing the pattern of blood flow through the vessels. In a similar way, blood is flowing through vessels in all parts of the body. The lighter colored vessels are the arteries that carry blood from the heart to the body. The darker colored vessels are the veins that carry blood from the body back to the heart. We can see the structure of an artery more clearly in this magnified drawing. We see that an artery branches off into smaller blood vessels called arterioles. Arterioles branch off into capillaries. To see better what happens in a capillary, let's magnify it. In this greatly magnified capillary, we can see the thin capillary walls. Through these walls, the body cells receive nutrients or food materials from the blood and give up wastes, which are later removed from the body. Through the microscope, we can see the blood cells flowing through the capillaries of a frog. From the capillaries, blood enters slightly larger vessels called venules. Then, in turn, it enters the larger veins. Venules and veins carry blood back to the heart. Two other organs of the circulatory system are the lungs and the kidneys. The function of the lungs is to supply the blood with oxygen and to rid the blood of carbon dioxide, a waste. The kidneys' function is removal of certain other wastes from the blood. Now let's review the circulatory. The heart pumps blood to the lungs, where it gives up carbon dioxide and gains oxygen. The blood returns to the heart and is then pumped into the body through blood vessels called arteries, arterioles, and capillaries to nourish the body cells and carry away waste materials. Some wastes are removed from the blood as it flows through the kidneys and other abdominal organs. The blood returns to the heart through the blood vessels called venules and veins. Then the cycle begins again. Let's study one part of the cycle, the pumping of blood by the heart. Through the X-ray camera, we can see the human heart as a dark moving mass between the lungs. Listen to each beat or movement as the heart sends blood to the body and lungs. Here is another living heart, a dog's heart. Because of the heavy-duty work it performs, the heart needs much nourishment. These arteries carry the blood which provides the great amount of nourishment needed by the heart. The heart is a mass of muscular tissue. It is divided into 4 parts, or chambers. In this drawing, we can more easily see the 4 chambers: 2 auricles, which receive the blood, and 2 ventricles, the chambers from which blood leaves the heart. These valves allow the blood to pass from the auricles into the ventricles, and these valves allow blood to be pumped from the ventricles. The valves are so arranged that blood is prevented from re-entering a chamber it has left. Watch the pumping action. Let's see how this pumping is done. First, the auricles fill with blood. The darker blood in the right auricle of the heart is used blood from the body containing wastes. The lighter blood in the left auricle is fresh blood from the lungs containing oxygen. Next, this pair of valves opens and blood flows into the ventricles. When the ventricles are filled, the valves close. As these valves close, the other pair opens. Fresh blood from the left ventricle is pumped throughout the body. Used blood from the right ventricle is pumped to the lungs. This pumping cycle is continuous. Looking at this live heart beating, we can imagine the pumping action taking place within the heart as it forces the blood through the circulatory system. This is the artery that carries blood from the heart to the lungs. The lungs are sac-like organs that normally lie over the heart. Let's see the part the lungs play in this system. Each time our lungs expand, oxygen is inhaled and eventually is absorbed by the blood. As the lungs deflate, carbon dioxide, a waste, is exhaled. Used blood containing carbon dioxide enters the lungs through the pulmonary artery. It leads from the right ventricle of the heart to the lungs. The pulmonary artery is the only artery in the body that carries used blood. Within the lungs are millions of tiny air sacs. In this magnified air sac, carbon dioxide, shown as dark dots, is being given up from the blood. Oxygen, shown as white dots, is being absorbed by the blood. Having absorbed oxygen in the lungs, the blood returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins. Pulmonary veins from each lung carry blood to the left auricle of the heart. The blood then enters the left ventricle. With the next pumping action, it is forced into this large artery called the aorta. Here is the same large artery, the aorta, of the dog's heart. This artery branches into many smaller arteries, each of which has its own name. The arteries continue to branch into smaller arterioles and capillaries. These blood vessels carry blood to all parts of the body: the head, the arms, the legs, and the organs of the abdomen. As blood passes through the abdomen, it enters the kidneys. This is a dog's kidney, a bean-shaped organ that contains a network of arteries and veins. Within each kidney, there is a complex system of filters and tubes which remove certain wastes from the blood. The kidneys are among the organs that purify blood in the circulatory system. We've seen some of the organs and functions of the circulatory system. This system circulates blood that nourishes body cells and removes cell wastes. We have seen that blood is pumped from the heart into the lungs, back to the heart into the body. We have seen that the blood flows through, that the lungs supply oxygen to the blood while removing carbon dioxide. And certain wastes are removed from the blood by the kidneys and other abdominal organs. How can we relate the actions of this system to everyday living? Here is a swimmer after a hard race. He is gasping for breath, supplying more oxygen to his lungs. Perhaps now you can tell how oxygen enters the circulatory system. Let us understand the need of good food for body nourishment. Perhaps now you can tell how nutrients in the bloodstream are distributed throughout the body. All of us understand the need of sufficient rest for good health. Do you suppose the circulatory system functions differently as our activity increases or decreases? Perhaps now you have a better understanding of the importance of the circulatory system in your own body and its relation to your own good health.